Live from Santa Fe Public Radio, you're on the journey home. Diego Mulligan here, and now we're going to have a conversation with Peter DeCrousel, international bridge builder, entrepreneur, and author of Custom-Made Knowledge for a New World Disorder. Today we're going to be exploring the shift from globalism to interlocalism. Peter DeCrousel, welcome. Good to have you with us today. How you doing?
It's good to be back again. Doing great.
You say that we also have a great opportunity to make a huge change in not just the course of our own localized economy, but the larger economic relationships in the world.
But the one issue that is not really being discussed at length, which I address in the opening chapter of Custom-Made Knowledge, is the biggest crisis in America's education. American children are not taught the basics of American history. You know, when Jay Leno does interviews of Americans and asks them who's George Washington is, they say a bridge in New York. I mean, that's how dumb down America has become. And as I point out in the opening quote in the book, Americans learn geography because of wars.
You see it working out in a very, very different way with the rise of China and perhaps a change in the United States and how these two driving forces will somehow perhaps steer us into the next century.
Globalization was supposed to bring more jobs to America, was supposed to bring cheaper products around the world. But in fact, what has happened is jobs have been outsourced and resources and products have become more expensive. And it was a theory that was based on the premise that the world is short of various products, resources, labor. And to me, the future is interlocalism, which is a theory I've come up with that replaces globalization, which is interlocalism is a two-way street as opposed to globalization, which is a one-way street. Start supporting local communities, local merchants, local services, and then those local communities interact with other like-minded communities that support each other. And then that circle of concentric circles just keeps growing and growing.
And we see this happening in a lot of different ways already, where small villages are being supported directly by consumers in various countries like the United States.
We do, but not to the degree that we should.
It's just getting started.
It's just getting started, and the point is we have to emphasize it and make it grow. And those communities, and one of the things Bill Cosby talks about, for example, is black communities interacting with black communities, Native American, Mexican, Chinese American, American Chinese. I mean, the reason I say China should be embraced as a partner is look at China. It has a quarter of the world's population, and you can't go anywhere in the world and not find a large Chinese community that all interact with each other. Why is it that American communities, and I as an expat who live in Hong Kong and China, I see American communities that don't interact with each other?
Why?
That is one of the major problems with America today. And it boils down to, again, what I point out in the book, Custom-Made Knowledge, family unit. You look at the family unit here, structure. You look at the education system where parents, again, because of the breakdown in the family unit, blame the school system, the teachers. It's never the parents' fault that there's something wrong with the kids. I hear over and over again teachers complaining about their frustration in trying to deal with parents. And if you look at most students that are in the top of the class anywhere in the world today, especially in America, they're usually Asian American. Why? And there's a direct connection there as to why China and Asia is now become the epicenter of the geopolitical world. And it all boils down to education, family units, and families interacting with each other in the local villages, as you point out, supporting each other, as opposed to outsourcing even childcare to maids. And you wind up having American kids talking English in the accent of the maids that are raising them.
Corruption. It's been very much of a disaster for this nation. We see it playing out in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places, here at home too. How are the Chinese going to get past it?
They are getting past it.
They're cutting people's heads off there, aren't they? Or hanging them, I think they do.
No, well, I mean
they hang government bureaucrats who are caught.
They
sometimes.
shoot them. A bullet is cheaper than a process. But let's look at a very interesting statistic, Diego, on that side. America has 5% of the world's population, but 30% of the world's population that is incarcerated is in America, not China. And there are per capita more executions in America that believes in the death penalty than in China. And in China, yes, most of the people being executed are corrupt political officials. In America, no corrupt political official is executed. It is usually the minorities that cannot afford the right representation. And in terms of China taking over the world, yes, it will, unless America embraces it as a partner in the 21st century, which is what I advocate in my book, Custom Made Knowledge. And together, America and China can lead the world through the 21st century, and we avoid Armageddon.
Let's hope that your next series of books is going to be a little less satirical in the titles and a little bit more direct to the point of having made the change, learned the lessons, and tracking our progress into something you described as interlocalism. Please come back and visit with us again when you start your next series.
I look forward to it, Dig. It's always a pleasure being here.
Peter DeCrassel on The Journey Home.
Well, as someone who hangs around the campus and talks to a lot of your fellow students here, what do you feel is the consensus among students to find out what you feel or who you feel is the cause of the high cost of energy?
Those that understand a little bit about the Arab oil cartel and how that evolved over the years think that OPEC and the Arab producing countries have a lot to do with this.
So you are a supporter of the government pursuing policies of alternatives to oil, such as biofuels, renewables.
Absolutely, no question about it. I mean, the time is coming. It's almost past. Unless we can become part of that solution, we're only tightening the noose around our own necks. It's ridiculous. The scarcity of oil has been created politically to punish us all, those of us that are paying for the system, and it's being done in our name. And it's a shame. It's a moral shame on all of us.
What would you like to see changed and be different?
The economy is slowly coming into a recession, and now that they're giving the new, what is it, the tax rebates?
Yes.
That's what they're giving them, right?
Correct.
They're thinking that everyone is going to go spend, and that's what they need everyone to do, but a lot of it should just be saved or invested in something good.
Good, thanks. That's great.